All right, we do have a quorum, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. It is 7:31 p.m. I welcome everybody that's here to the Municipal Land Use Board meeting of the Borough of River Edge. It's December 16th, 2020. I have a statement I have to read. This meeting of the Municipal Land Use Board of the Borough of River Edge is being held remotely and recorded via Zoom due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and is in compliance with provisions of Executive Orders 103 and 104 of the Open Public Meetings Act, NJAC
This lady with the mask on.
5-39-1.1 and all the way to 1.7. Notice of this meeting has been published in the Ridgewood News, the Bergen Record, on December 20th, 2019. And posted on the front doors of Borough Hall and posted on the homepage of the Borough website. The Borough's notice includes dial-in information necessary for members of the public to participate and access the meeting remotely. A copy of the agenda for the meeting has been made available to on the Borough website also near the posting of the meeting notice, which included the dial-in login information. During the public meeting comment portion of this meeting, if you'd like to make a public comment, please press the raise hand button on Zoom or dial *9 on your telephone to raise your hand. The board will address you by name and by the last 4 digits of your phone number for a comment. The board will unmute your microphone. You don't have to do it. We'll take care of it.
No Merman today.
No Dick Merman today, no. The board will unmute your microphone. You must state your name and address prior to making a public comment. You may also mute and unmute yourself by pressing the telephone icon on the Zoom. Members of the public were also permitted to submit written comments to this meeting by emailing Borough Hall and our clerk, Mr. Ed Alter. Can I have a roll call, please?
Okay, Mr. Mayor?
Here.
Okay, Mr. Arkelian?
Here.
Ms. Boland?
Here.
Mr. Bartoloni?
Here.
Mr. Merman is absent tonight. Mr. Grasso? I believe he is absent as well.
Mr. Grasso was excused.
Okay,
As was Mr. Merman.
okay. Mr. Craig?
Here.
Mr. Caslin?
Here.
Councilman Kinigo?
Here.
Mr. Gibbons? I believe he is absent tonight as well. And Mr. Esposito?
Here.
Okay.
Okay. The first order of business is the approval of the minutes from November 18th. You should have all gotten them in your packets the other day. Did anybody not get their mail? Get packet in the mail? Okay. So do I have a motion or do I have any discussion on the minutes? Do I have a motion to accept the minutes as read?
So moved, Mike Ray. Second.
That's Chris Caslin. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, any abstain?
Ms. Boland and Mr. Esposito were absent at that meeting. So-
That's
okay.
right, yes.
Okay, next up is the memorialization for Visor Vic Jacoby, 830 Park Avenue, Block 213, Lot 1301. If you remember correctly, this was for a built-in pool in his backyard. We
You
have to make
have
it-
the 12-2 minutes also.
I'm sorry?
The 12-2 minutes are on the agenda as well.
All right, you know what?
12-2 minutes are on the
I have the
agenda as
agenda that
well.
came in the mail. All right, so we'll get to that in a second. Let's.
Yeah, you must have an old
Memorialization.
copy.
Yep. So we have this memorialization for 830 Park Avenue. Any questions, comments? Do I have a motion to approve the memorialization?
So moved, Mr.
Do I have a
Bartoloni.
second?
Second, Caslin.
Have a roll call, please.
Okay, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. Arkelian?
Yes.
Ms. Boland?
Yes.
Mr. Bartoloni?
Yes.
Mr. Merman and Mr. Grasso are absent. Mr. Craig?
Yes.
Mr. Caslin,
Yes.
Councilman Kenigo,
Yes.
Mr. Gibbons is absent, and Mr. Esposito is ineligible to vote on this resolution, so the resolution passes.
Okay. I just want to make a notice real quick that we're missing two of our members. So Mr. Esposito will be voting as a regular member this evening. Okay, so next up, we go to completeness review. So folks, what we're going to do is we're going to call each applicant up. We're going to just make sure that everything is in order by our professionals, and then we'll call you back up again for the actual hearing. So the first completeness review is Jolena and Nenad Pasek, 171 Valley Road, block 1101 and lot 18. This is for a proposed addition and lot coverage variance. Are you here this evening? You're here, right?
Hi, this is Jelena Pasek. I am here and the architect of record.
Good evening, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
So I'm going to ask our professionals, first Tom.
Yes, I reviewed the application materials and they're sufficient from my standpoint.
And Ms. Stenley.
Prior to this meeting, I reviewed the proof submitted by the applicant, and they are sufficient for the board to have jurisdiction tonight.
Any questions from the board? I have a motion to move this to the regular meeting.
So moved. Caslin.
Second, Bordeloni.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Arkelian,
Yes.
Ms. Boland,
Yes.
Mr. Bartoloni,
Yes.
Mr. Cray,
Yes.
Mr. Caslin,
Yes.
Councilman Kenigo,
Yes.
Mr. Esposito.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, we'll get back to you in a little bit. Just hold on for us, okay? The next up for completeness is Jason and Dana Hosey, 219 Voorhees Avenue, block 707, lot 11. And they're looking to put an in-ground pool and a patio and associated improvements, and they need lot coverage. Tom.
Again, I reviewed this application and its materials and have determined that they can be determined complete.
Ms. Stenley.
Prior to this meeting, I reviewed the proof submitted by the applicants, and they are acceptable, and the board has jurisdiction to proceed.
Any questions from the board? Have a motion to move this to the regular meeting?
So moved, Mike Ray.
Do I have a second?
Second, Caslin.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Arkelian,
Yes.
Ms. Boland,
Yes.
Mr. Bartoloni,
Yes.
Mr. Cray,
Yes.
Mr. Caslin,
Yes.
Councilman Kenigo,
Yes.
Mr. Esposito.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, we'll be back to you, Ms. Hosey, in a few minutes.
Okay.
All right, the next up for completeness is Tina Zhu. Am I saying that right?
Boy, close enough.
Okay. 226 Manchester Road, block 901, lot 22, and she wants to construct a rear yard deck. Do I have a report from Tom, Mr. Barron's?
I reviewed the application materials and I've determined that they are complete.
Good, Mr. Finley.
Prior to this meeting, I reviewed the proof submitted by the applicant, and they are sufficient for the board to have jurisdiction tonight.
Any questions or comments from the board? Can I have a motion to move this to the regular meeting?
So move, Bordeloni.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Arkelian,
Yes.
Ms. Boland,
Yes.
Mr. Bartoloni,
Yes.
Mr. Cray,
Yes.
Mr. Caslin,
Yes.
Councilman Kenigo,
Yes.
and Mr. Esposito.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. We're ready to go to new business, and we're going to call back up Jelena and Nenad Pasek, 171 Valley Road, block 1101 and lot 18. And again, they're coming in for a proposed addition and they need lot coverage.
So before we begin, are you going to be the only individual providing testimony tonight?
No, architect of record, Paul Wu, will also be providing testimony. He's present in this meeting.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
here. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so Ms. Pasick, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And could you please state your full name for the record, spell your last name, and provide your address?
My name is Jelena Pasic. My last name is spelled P as in Peter, A as in Adam, S as in Sam, I as in ice cream, C as in Caesar, and I reside at 171 Valley Road, River Edge, New Jersey 07661.
Michelle, could you please mute Miss Hosley until we're ready for her? Yeah, she's got a lot of background noise. Okay,
All
good
right.
evening.
Good evening.
So why don't you give us a brief description of what you're looking to accomplish this evening?
We were thinking of replacing roofing and siding because it's aged, and at the same time, I've noticed some neighbors on the same street with the same model house have a small front patio instead of the planters that are planted in front of my house. I think that would be a great addition to our lifestyle. It's about 61 square foot, and you can see it on the floor plan. Upon drawings being produced, architect informed me that as we purchased the property, it was over coverages, which obviously I'm not an expert on that, so I was not aware or even understood, until recently what that's about. And that we would need to get this variance approved. We would like to just connect the front setback line of the house all in straight line, not changing the setback line, and create a small front porch in that 61-foot area.
Okay. I'm going to ask Mr. Behrens to weigh in a little bit. Mr.
Right,
Behrens is our borough planner. I'm sure you've talked to him or have discussions or so forth, or at least correspondence. Go ahead, Tom.
Right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I reviewed the application materials. Mr. Pasick, Ms. Pasick is correct in that the addition is for 61 square feet in an area that's not improved at the moment. I'll note that we'll call it the porch addition, does not extend beyond the existing front line of the house. So it's contained by the building envelope that already exists, I'll say. I did not see any previous variance relief granted, and I suspect it has to do with perhaps the deck and some of the patio area, and that may be the reason why the lot is over on coverages as it exists and when she purchased the property. So again, we are talking about 61 square feet. It was mentioned that, one of the justifications might be that it's an aesthetic improvement as well as, promotes consistency with the neighborhood. And this would qualify as what's called a C2 variance. And again, that test is whether or not the public benefits outweigh any detriments. Personally here, I don't see too many, excuse me, too many issues or detriments that might be posed by the application, considering that it is already developed the way it is. And so, we're talking about 61 square feet. So if the board has any questions.
I'm going to go member by member, and I will start off with.
I just wanted to, is the applicant's expert going to testify, or are you going to just respond to questions?
Yes, I'm gonna just respond to questions.
Okay, I'll just swear you in. So if you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
And will you please state your name, spell your last name, and give your address for the record?
yes, my name is Paul. Last name is Wu, W-U. Address is 656 Martins Avenue in Teaneck, New Jersey. Zip code is 07666.
And then could you just provide the board with some of your professional expertise, please?
Yes, I graduated from, I got master degree in architecture and graduated from Rensselaer Polytech Institute in 2004, and I've been practice architecture since then. So I would say over 15 years experience.
And have you testified before any boards in New Jersey or in Bergen County before?
Yes,
Okay. Does the board accept those qualifications?
yes.
I believe so. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Mr. Wu.
Thank you.
All right, so being that you're not going to testify and you'll be answering questions, I'm going to start with Gary, Mr. Esposito.
Yes.
You have any questions?
No, not at this point. No.
Okay, then we're going to go up to Mr. Caslin.
No questions. I'm good. Thank you.
Good. Then I'm going to go to Mr. Cray.
Yeah, just one question. You may have said this and I may have missed it. The existing wood deck and the covered patio, that was all there when you purchased the house, you said?
Yes.
You were saying about the roof deck or the back deck? I'm sorry.
The back wood deck and the covered patio.
Yes, they were existing when I purchased the property.
They're over there. Okay. Okay, that's all.
Then we're going to go to Mr. Bartoloni.
No questions.
Okay. Ms. Boland.
No questions.
Okay. Then I'm going to go to Councilman Caningo.
No questions. Thank you, Chairman.
Then I'm going to go to our mayor, Mayor Papaleo.
I'm good, thank you, Chairman.
All right. And I'm good also. So looks like everybody's good here. Any final comments from the applicant?
From me?
Yes.
I think that adding this improvement alongside changing the siding will actually improve the uniformity on the street, because we have a lot of same model houses. The house number 143 and the house number 167 had done pretty much the same improvement with the front patio, that front porch. So it's actually going to improve the enjoyment, the visuals of the street for the neighbors as well as ourselves.
Thank you. Mr. Wu, do you have any final comments?
No.
With that said, I'm going to entertain a motion from a member of the board to approve
Well,
this.
We have to open up to the public.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Can I have a motion open to the public?
So moved.
Second.
Bartoloni.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, any abstained? Is there anybody from
There is not.
seeing nobody? I'm going to ask a motion to close to the public.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? Okay, at this point, now I will ask if there is a motion from one of our members.
I'm going to take a crack at it. 'Cause Mr. Merman,
I know you have no experience before a land use board, Chris.
none whatsoever. Mr. Merman is much more articulate at these things than I am, that's for certain. But anyway, with regard to the property 171 Valley Road, block 1101, lot 18, motion to approve the application for variance relief requested as to maximum lot coverage proposed of 29.6% and proposed improved lot coverage of 39.7% for the installation of a covered patio in place of a portico consisting of approximately 61 square feet in the area as shown and otherwise consistent with the drawings submitted by the applicant.
Very well done, Mr. Caslin. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Caningo, I see lit up there. Can I have a roll call, please?
All right, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Chairman Eric Kelly,
Yes.
Ms. Boland,
Yes.
Mr. Bartoloni,
Yes.
Mr. Cray,
Yes.
Mr. Caslin,
Yes.
Councilman Kenigo,
Yes.
Mr. Esposito.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes.
Congratulations, Ms. Pazik. We hope you enjoy your addition and we hope you enjoy Rev Reg.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much, everyone. Thank
Have a
you.
wonderful, yep.
Have a wonderful evening. Is it all right for me to leave them?
You can click off. Yes, you can.
Yes.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Okay. So, what did I do? There it is. Next up is Jason and Dana Hosey, 219 Voorhees Avenue, Block 707, Lot 11. They're looking to put an in-ground pool, a patio, and associated improvements. Good evening, Ms. Hosey. How are you this evening?
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you. So, so why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're looking to accomplish this evening?
I'm just gonna-
Ms. Finley, go ahead.
Yeah, so if you could just raise your right hand.
Sure, hold on one. I'm sorry, I'm at work, so I have my phone. Okay.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And could you please state your full name, spell your last name, and give your address for the record?
Sure, Dana Hosey, Hosey. It's 219 Voorhees Ave in River Edge.
And will anyone else be providing testimony for your application?
No, my husband was supposed to be here, but he couldn't leave from work.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Very good. All right. So Ms. Hosey, just give us a brief description of what you're looking to accomplish this evening.
Sure. We just wanted to get an in-ground pool. When it says patio, I feel like it's really not a big patio. That we're not adding like a massive patio. It's just like a tiny little bump off the side of the pool, basically, so we could put chairs somewhere next to the pool. Basically, the reason we were looking to do this, we always wanted to do it. However, now with this whole virus, we don't know if we're going to be able to travel next year or when traveling will be safe. My job right now is not allowing me to travel anywhere, nor is my husband's. So we're just we have two little kids, 5 and 3, that need something to do in the summertime. So if everything remains closed or continues to be this way, we're just super hopeful that we'll have a backyard that we can entertain in.
Okay. Sounds fair. Tom?
Right, so the lot as developed has the existing single-family home, driveway, rear patio, and associated improvements. As it exists, it is conforming with an improved lot coverage of 29.7%, where 35% is allowed. And the water body of the pool and the patio will bring that to a non-conforming coverage of 40.49%, or about 5.5% over. And again, that is the water body and surrounding, we'll call it a patio walkway that surrounds the pool essentially. And that translates to about 412.5 square feet that's over. So not the total pool and patio area, but the amount that it's over by. So, I fully understand and can sympathize, the COVID situation. We do have to address the variance criteria for the record. In this case, similar to the previous application, it would seem that the C2 public benefits test would apply most. And so I'll ask Ms. Hosey, or I'll explain rather, that the board needs a justification in terms of what public benefits might be generated from this application versus any detriments. In terms of detriments, you certainly seem to have the area to accommodate this in your backyard. I don't mean to speak for the board. And you have the appropriate setbacks for the pool itself. So when an applicant is over by a certain amount of coverage, I know sometimes the board asks as a public benefit that an applicant install what are known as seepage pits, and they basically are meant to offset the infiltration of groundwater into the ground. And I don't know if that's something your property already has, or if that's something you might be willing to consider if the board might be in favor of this application. So Ms. Hosey, I'll ask you that question, if seepage pits are something you might be
honestly,
agreeable to.
I'm going to take my mask off because I can't breathe. Honestly, I don't know what that is.
Okay.
I know that the gentleman that was installing the pool, honestly, this is like the smallest pool, one of the smallest pools they make. So we definitely tried to not cover as much square footage as possible.
Mhm.
He did say something about there's like something they could put underneath the pool that gives some leeway if there is some type of a storm, so that that the liner doesn't float up to the top. I don't know if that's what you're talking about. But honestly, I don't know. I'm not really sure what you're talking about when it comes to that.
So basically it's a basin that gets sunk in the backyard, and it's meant to collect water. So the water can percolate through the ground and not, become runoff and impact surrounding property. And it's something that is, more commonly implemented on most new homes and properties in town. And again, this would be a public benefit in that you'd be offsetting, essentially the coverage, the excess coverage that would contribute to runoff. You'd be collecting it instead. It is an additional cost. There are different ways to do it, but basically, again, you're already digging a hole in the ground with the pool. It's a basin that's filled with gravel and some kind of container. It could either be a horizontal or rather a vertical concrete container, for lack of a better term, or sort of of an upside down U-shaped dome plastic container that might also do it. It is an extra couple $1,000s, I would imagine.
So I'm just going to interject here, Ms. Hosey, just an applicant like this, typically when we're going over the 35-foot coverage, we usually make it subject to review from our borough engineer for water runoff. So
Well, the gentleman who came to our house for the pool said that it was actually placed in the spot that it is for that reason. He said this is the best spot for it, so it doesn't cause flooding to neighbors, so on and so forth. So the gentleman that came that works for the pool company, he did obviously take that into consideration, that the placement of the pool, the direction that it's being faced is all something that is supposed to help prevent any type of flooding to neighbors that are surrounding us.
All right. So again, we're probably going to make this, if you get approved this evening, we're going to be subject to, which is an automatic, by the way, review by our borough engineer. And if he requires some remediation, then you'll have to sit down and talk with him and decide what you decide to do with it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. He may say this is fine. A lot of times with pools, they consider that its own retention basin. But again, we'll leave that up to the borough engineer as part of the approval process if you're approved this evening.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question? Is it
can.
likely that it's something that wouldn't be approved, considering that our backyard is, even though it goes over the percentage, is fairly large, and it still leaves quite a bit of our backyard, space. It's not like we're taking up our entire backyard with this massive monstrosity of a pool.
Yeah, I can't speak for the rest of the board. Let's see how things play out, and then we'll go from there. How's that? All right.
Fine. Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna open this up to the board at this point, and I'm gonna start with Mr. Esposito.
Not at this time.
Mr. Kessler.
So it's like 1 through 7.
I'm supposed to, could you just briefly describe the topography of your backyard? Is it slope front to back or side to side?
It's fairly flat. The back left corner, which is opposite of where the pool would be. There is, I wouldn't say a hill by any means, or even a slope. It does go down a little. I don't know if there at one point was like a very large tree there. It looks like something was removed, and then it kind of just got lower as the years went on from weather, rain, whatever the case may be. But overall, it's flat, and then it goes down a little bit on the back all the way in the left corner.
Okay, so away from where you're proposing the pool to be located.
Yes.
Okay. And the filter that looks like it's to be placed somewhere adjacent to that pool in the back. Looks like this, not the step, but it looks like it's drawn as a circle on the planner. How briefly, I don't know if you have any information on the size of that filtration system.
On the size of what?
The filter, that's drawn on the plans. Looks like there'd be a filter for the pool.
Oh yeah, the filter is gonna go like in the backyard against the fence. I do not know the size. I don't even honestly know if they ever gave us the size of the filter.
Okay.
They had just asked us if we would mind putting it there, because it would be easier, I guess, with all the electrical work or whatever. And we said, that's fine, wherever you guys feel you have to put it. But as for size, I don't know.
Okay. Is that something that is going to be screened? Is going to be any sort of covering around it, maybe, so that it's not as, I guess, obtrusive in terms of visual effect?
I mean, I guess so. I mean, nobody really can see in our backyard anyway, but we were planning at some point to put a fence around it,
Okay. Okay.
like a white vinyl fence.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Caslin. Next up is Mr. Cray.
Hey, yeah, I have a question. If you could just kind of talk me through this. I'm looking at the pool, and there's the area that's the actual pool itself where the water is. Then there seems to be a sidewalk of some sort around it, and then there's the other grayed out area that is, I guess, the little patio area you're talking about. Am I seeing that right? Is that what that is? It's like a sidewalk and then an adjacent patio?
So it automatically comes with, it automatically is a given that it comes, I think it's 3 feet of concrete around the pool. Obviously, so it's not mud and dirt and whatever. So that's what it comes with as a standard. And then the little tiny patio that we added so we could put chairs there is what we added to the original of what the pool company usually does. So it comes with 3 feet standard around the pool concrete. And then that little bump off is the area for like chairs and patio furniture.
Okay. Is that it, Michael?
Yep.
Very good. Thank you. Next up, Mr. Bartoloni.
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Ms. Boland?
I do have one comment. You don't have any kind of a walkway proposed between your paver patio and the pool. I just want to let you know you would not be able to add anything because that would be coverage.
Understood.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, Councilman Canigo. Dario?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your house, Ms. Hosey, it's on the portion of Voorhees that's sloped, right? It's a hill going from Fifth.
Yeah, like we're in the middle of like, yeah, I guess the hill.
Okay, the house next to you that's lower to you, do you know if they get flooding in their house at all?
No, they don't. That would be Donna. You mean if you're looking at my house, that's like the next one down the hill?
Correct.
Yeah, no, to our knowledge, no. Anytime we've ever spoke to her with any storms, she's never mentioned any flooding, no.
Okay, and do you get any flooding in your basement?
No.
Would you be willing to put in a seepage pit if we make that a requirement in order to approve this?
If it's not I mean, I don't know who, there's so many people on my screen here. I know somebody mentioned covering the filter for visual purposes. If it's not like some ugly monstrosity of a thing that I'm putting in my backyard.
Well, it's underground.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Okay, are you sure that this is it possibly not the same thing the gentleman talked about from the pool company, that it leaves like X amount of inches underneath your liner?
It's exactly not that thing.
Exactly.
A seepage pitch is basically, it almost looks like a concrete garbage can with holes in it. It goes in the ground and it absorbs the water and lets the water drip into that pit, and then it seeps out very slowly. That's why they call it a seepage pit. And again, we're going to make this subject to review by our borough engineer. He's going to make the final decision, and then you'll have to abide whatever he decides.
I mean, listen, if that's something we have to do, we have to do it.
Yeah.
We want our pool, so whatever we have to do.
So again, Mr. Costa is very fair, and he's very good with water measurements, so he'll decide.
Last question.
Okay.
Last question I have for you. Do you know how loud the pump system is going to be for the pool?
How loud?
Yeah, did they tell you anything about decibels?
I mean, I guess just I didn't even know that was something. I'm assuming just like any other one.
A lot of
I mean,
pools have.
that's not something we discussed.
A lot of pool houses, a lot of these pools have a little housing system, and I think that's where Mr. Caslin was going with this. But it's not only just for visual, it's also so that it doesn't disturb neighbors when the pump is going on during the time. Would you be adverse
Right.
if putting it in an enclosure for not only sight, but also sound to avoid neighbors being inconvenienced by the sound? It's not terribly loud, but a repetitious sound throughout the summer, and you know, it may annoy some people. Would that be something?
Can I
you'd be
ask you
willing-
a question?
Sure.
Doesn't everybody's filter make a noise?
I would
Not when
imagine
they're
so,
not-
which is why a lot of people have them inside sheds or housing of some sort.
And I think
Okay.
why this is important, Ms. Hosey, is that you testified earlier that the pump is going to be put up against the fence, which would be very close to your neighbor's property. And certainly you don't want the pump running all day, annoying your neighbor next door. So they do have enclosures for these things. And I would strongly suggest that that be done, and we could make that part of the approval, Councilman, if that's what you are looking for.
I mean, I certainly want her to get her pool, but I also want to be mindful of the neighbors.
Absolutely. And you know what? I had the same question in the back of my head. It was coming up.
Okay. Thank you. No more questions.
Let's see. We're at our mayor.
I think you've covered it all. I'm good.
Okay. So again, Ms. Hosey, if so that basically there's going to be two circumstances that you have to deal with. One is the review from the borough engineer for water, and two, we're going to ask that you have some sort of enclosure over the filter as to numb the noise from your neighbors.
Okay, now is there, because I know he had asked me how loud is it? Is this something that a pool company should be able to answer? And then I can tell you guys, and it may or may not have to go that way?
Well, you're not going to have to come back.
Okay.
You just tell your pool guy, we want an enclosure for the filter.
Okay,
A lot of times they put them in sheds, so it'll be like a very small shed, but aesthetically it'll be much nicer than having the filter in the middle of the yard. And again, noise wise, it will not only benefit your neighbor, but it'll also benefit yourself. You don't want to listen to that all day.
okay, fair enough.
Okay. All right, can I have a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? I see a Mr. Herrera, but I think that is our third applicant. Is that correct, Michelle?
I think that's right.
Okay.
You guys, yeah.
Anybody from the public?
No.
Okay, got a motion to close from the public, please?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, so at this point, anybody else have any questions from the board? Okay, so with the thoughts that there'll be a review by the borough engineer and that there'll be an enclosure over the filter to make sure that it's quieted.
Okay.
Can I have a motion from one of our members?
Yep. Try again.
Looking at you, Chris.
Good at me. Okay. With respect to the property located at 219 Voorhees Avenue, block 707, lot 11. Motion to approve the application for variance relief requested is the maximum lot coverage of 40.49%. The installation of the pool and associated site improvements as shown on the site, as shown on the submitted plans, subject to the conditions articulated as to the installation of seepage pits in an area to be determined by the applicant and the borough engineer, and any other conditions that may be required by the borough engineer, including any screening for noise mitigation around the filtration system.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
So moved, seconded.
Have a roll call, please.
Yes. Mr. Meyer,
Yes.
Mr. Arkelian,
Yes.
Ms. Boland,
Yes.
Mr. Bartoloni,
Yes.
Mr. Cray,
Yes.
Mr. Caslin,
Yes.
Councilman Kinigo,
Yes.
and Mr. Esposito.
Yes.
Okay, the
Motion
motion passes.
Congratulations, Miss Hosley. You are on your
Thank
way.
you so much. I appreciate it. Have a good night.
Been a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Okay. So our next and last application is Ms. Tina Zhu, XUE, 223 Manchester Road. That's block 901, lot 22. And that's for a rear deck, rear deck. Okay. Are you with us? Where are you?
Hi, how are you
There you
guys?
go. How are you
Good
tonight?
evening. Hi.
Okay, so why don't you just basically give us a basic description of what you're looking to accomplish?
Sure. So
Okay,
when I
Sorry, but first, I just have to swear you in. If you could just raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
yes,
And can you please state your name, spell your last name, and provide your address for the record?
Tina Shui, Tinaxue. My address is 226 Manchester Road, River Edge, New Jersey.
Okay,
Marina, I
Thank you.
apologize. I keep skipping over you tonight.
that's okay.
Before
Okay.
before you go forward, I'm the contractor for Tina.
Yeah, my
So you
my
wanna just-
contractor is here too,
Okay,
Howie.
you want to just
Okay.
swear me in
Good
now?
evening,
so I-
Mr.
Sure.
Eccles. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, so please raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And could you please state your full name, spell your last name, and provide your address for the record?
It's Howard. Last name is Ridkes. Address is 2210 Hilltop Road, Mahwah, New Jersey, 07430.
And then could you just provide your professional experience for the board?
I have built everything from East Orange High School to hotels to everything there is to build. So the company is
you-
actually owned by the guy down below, Willie Herrera, and I'm just kind of semi-retired, but like I say, I have 35 years experience.
And have you testified before any
Yes, I
land use
have.
boards? Okay. Does the board accept these
Yes.
qualifications?
I believe, yes, you're accepted.
Okay.
It's good that everybody's accepting themselves tonight. Okay, why don't you give us a brief description of what you're looking to accomplish tonight? ma'am?
Sure. So I'm looking to build a deck, like a deck in the back. I moved to New Jersey. I moved to New Jersey, River Edge, in April, like right in the middle of the pandemic. And at the time, actually, when I was looking at this house, I had said to the builder, hey, it would be amazing since we have a pretty good sized yard and we don't really have a lot of usable outdoor space, is to build this deck out in the back. And at the time the builder had said, yeah, no problem. He would take care of it for me in the spring when he had more time. And then, next thing I know, he's retired. He yells at me every time I reach out to him at this point. So that's not fun. So I figured, okay, I'm going to have to get Howie to do it for me. And then when we put in the permit to try to do it, that's when I found out that we're having coverage issues, or that we would have any kind of coverage issues. So here we are. Basically, I'm just trying to build a deck so that me and my family, I have a little boy who's 2, can just hang out outside, barbecue, have our friends over, obviously after the pandemic, but just enjoy our actual backyard. We have a small patio to the side of the house now, but there's no privacy there for us to enjoy anytime because it's abutting the neighbor's property on the right or left, depending on how you look at it. And it's super isolated from the rest of the backyard. And it's kind of like an odd place where it doesn't, the sun's either really killing, everything, or just there's no sun at all. So we would really like to just kind of have it in the back of the house where we have some more natural shade, and just the ability to enjoy ourselves more. So that's what we're looking for.
Well, the other thing too is what you have on the side now is unsecure. She has your son is what, less than 2, right?
Yeah.
So, one of the things we talked about was at the stairs, we're going to build a gate for her. So not that she's going to leave her son out there by himself, but where it is on the side, you turn your head for a second and he could go anywhere, especially
Right.
towards the front of the house or the street. So,
Yeah, exactly. And I have I have a dog too. Like a sick he's 8 months now. I have an 8-month-old puppy as well, that I got also in the middle of the pandemic. And yeah, I would like to kind of have a secure area for the two of them to be able to hang out outside without me having to worry that like a deer or wild animals are going to come by. Like the neighbor on the side also has like a pretty amazing vegetable garden. So there's deer coming and all sorts of wildlife coming to eat his produce all the time. Me too, I have to admit, but mostly the wild animals.
Okay. Anything else from you there, Mr. Rickles?
no, I mean, she's pretty much covered it, I could say that. I think that when she bought the house, she did not really have this expectation and stuff. All the neighbors had it, so, but I didn't really, she has a pretty good sized backyard. I didn't really think it would be much of an issue and stuff, so.
Yeah, like that's
Yeah.
a good point. Like my neighbors to the left and back, and like so 1, 2, 3, like essentially like all of my neighbors have have a deck in the back that's similar to what I'm looking to do, except for one. And so like I'm talking about the neighbors, on the other side of Manchester, as well as behind me on Dorchester. Everybody has this, either like a larger patio or a deck, that's pretty similar to what I'm looking for. So I think what I'm trying to do really just kind of brings things in line with the rest of the neighborhood.
Mr. Behrens?
So a few comments and then a few questions. So the property as it exists is slightly under on lot or building coverage. So it's currently below the 25% threshold. The relief being requested brings it to about 27.1%. That translates to about 120 square feet. And the lot, in terms of improved lot coverage or impervious coverage, is about maxed out today, and that will be increased to about 41.6%, or almost the exact number of the deck itself, which is, it's a 13 by 30 foot deck, or 390 square feet. So again, almost by that amount is what's being increased here. I will note that the lot itself is 6,000 square feet, which is technically considered undersized in the R1 zone, where the minimum lot area is 7,500 square feet. I do note that based on a review of an aerial image of the area, that both the neighbor to the right and left of the house also have decks, and the home to the right, I believe it's 220 Manchester Road, has an almost identical house and very similar sized deck. That said, I guess I have two questions for the applicant. Ms. Schwei, how did you end up with the size deck that you're proposing? Why specifically a 13 by 30?
Just to line our house, kind of like in the back, because I figured if we have anything smaller, it just kind of cuts the property oddly in the backyard. And also just to have enough space to, put my grill, like a table so we can eat and stuff like that, and just have a couple of chairs. I was just really essentially playing with, doing whatever styling I do, to the extent that I can, to figure out how much space I needed.
So the deck's about the width of the house and has a depth of about 13 feet, which is typically common to accommodate a table, let's say. So,
exactly.
With chairs, that sort of thing. One more question for you. Is the property sloped at all, whereby the deck is a better alternative than, let's say, a patio for the back?
The deck is a better patio because of how my house sets onto the lot. So
okay.
In the back, I have double-sized windows. So what the plan was to change those windows into a sliding door. And because it's above ground, I don't know how many feet, but it's enough above ground that I would need to put some actual concrete staircases to a patio. So I wanted to do the deck instead. At the time, there was also this giant tree in my backyard that got taken out by the last storm, actually. But there's like a lot of roots and stuff like that that's like throughout the ground that would make it really hard to put in a patio.
All right.
You know-
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
One other thing about that is that, because we actually did talk about a patio, but I talked to, we have an architect that we work with who drew the plan. And he said the impervious coverage is going to be the same. So if that was the case, because we thought, well, maybe if we put a patio back there and it's not included as impervious coverage, we wouldn't have to go through this process. So she was considering that. But once he said, no, it's still impervious coverage,
Yeah.
we figured, why not just do the deck? Because
And-
that's what she really
yeah.
wants.
And the
And in
deck
some
allows,
ways,
yeah,
you know-
the deck allows me to secure it a little bit better
Right.
also for my son and my dog, to make sure they don't run off.
And then, you'll go back to like you had with the pool there with the water runoff. Obviously, that would be more of an issue if it was a paver or, something that size or something like that, less of an issue with the deck. So it just seemed like if we got to do this thing, we might as well give her what she wants because it seems like the best.
I'll be
all around
honest,
for
I
everybody
also
anyway.
didn't want to deal with the weeds that come through like patio stones, which I see all the time.
Okay, that was it for me.
Mr. Ripple, I just have a quick question before I go to the board. What's going to be underneath the deck?
Excuse me?
What's going to be underneath the deck?
Just, grass.
Grass, okay.
We're not going to line it with concrete or anything,
Okay. All right, because I mean, that's, that'll save some of the impervious coverage, even though. you
Yeah,
have-
absolutely. Right.
All right, I'm going to go to my board members, and first off, I'm going to go Mr. Esposito.
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
any questions?
No questions at this point.
There you go. Okay, then I'm going to go to Mr. Caslin.
No questions. Thank you.
Mr. Cray,
One question. You had said the patio that you have now is effectively not very usable because of the proximity to your neighbors, the way the sun comes in. It's not enclosed, so you can't use it for your son or the pets or whatever else. Any potential to maybe let some of that go back to landscaped area rather than patio, take some of that patio out? I don't know whether it's pavers or if it's concrete or whatever, but
It's pavers.
Yes, it's
Okay.
it's pavers right now. The thing is there's a door that goes into the center of it.
Mhm.
That's like a second egress outside of the house. So I just wasn't gonna do anything about it.
Mhm.
Because it's nice. It is nice to walk out like into the back. Yeah, I mean, sure, if it's a must, but I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't planning on. I hadn't even honestly thought about that. I wasn't planning on doing anything. It just seemed like it would be even. Yeah, no, I wasn't planning on or thinking about it.
That's something you'd consider.
Yeah, I guess. I just don't know what that would necessarily entail. I mean, that area, the way that area hits the house, it's also it would be odd for that to be walking through that back door into grass as well.
Yeah. Hey, Tina, let me jump in here for a second.
Yeah, sure.
One thing is that, there's no entrance from her garage directly into her house. So in essence, the way he built it, and I think he probably did that because he knew he couldn't do anything behind the house because it's actually on the side, like it's kind of like behind the garage, but it only goes to the end of the house. And I don't know, what do you think that's about 8 feet wide, probably, Tina, I
Yeah,
guess.
it's tiny.
But there is a door there, and that is the door that lets you, if you don't use the front door, that's the only way. I mean, obviously, when the deck is there, there'll be a back door, but that, because there's no direct entrance from the garage to the house, if you were going to go get something from the garage, that would be the way you go. So in essence, you need some type of walk there. So I'm not sure. It's not that big, so I'm not really sure.
Yeah,
if
it's
you could
not
really deal with it.
it's
Yeah.
not big enough that if I took space out that like that door would still be effective. And
Right.
because then I would just be going, and I have a mud room there, like where I like all of my kids like winter stuff is. So when we go to the garage or like get ready to go out, he gets dressed there. Like, I don't have to worry about snow, especially today, or like rain and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a mud room when you
Yeah,
walk
it's a
in that
mud
building.
room. So I still wouldn't have a mud room on the other side of, where because it would be going from my family room onto the deck. So I still need my mud room where it is. And honestly, the patio is so small that and that's why it's like really unusable, because like we kind of walk right into the middle of it and then just kind of turn to like walk out to the garage. Like even if I did turn that back into green space to still be able to use that exit door and that mudroom effectively, at most it'd be like I'd give back like 10 square feet or something back into
Yeah, that's the
the
point.
grass.
Okay, that's all.
Thanks, Mr. Cray. Mr. Bartoloni?
Where I go. My question was actually taken away from me. Darn it. No, I'm good for now.
All right, very good. Thank you. Ms. Boland?
I have no questions.
Councilman Caningo?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Mayor Papaleo?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, so one more, it's wood composite, correct? Mr. Rickles?
Yes, it's going to be a composite deck.
And will there be spaces in between the planks?
Yes.
So that'll be where the drainage goes?
Yes.
So the drainage will drop down into underneath?
Yeah, it's
Be a
pretty much
grass area.
going to function like it does presently.
And it'll be a grass area,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so if there's an approval tonight, Mr. Rickles, as you probably heard from the past applicant, it'll be subject to review by our borough engineer. If he requires anything, I don't see that it would, and under these circumstances, but if it requires any remediation for drainage, you'll have to listen to what he decides. He'll be the arbiter on that. You
Okay, who is
understand
your
that?
borough engineer?
Rob Costa,
Which firm does he work for?
Costa Engineering,
Oh, okay.
out of Hackensack.
Okay.
Okay. He's easy to deal with. Okay. Any more questions from the board? We're going to open to the public. Motion open to the public.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstain? Seeing nobody from the public, I still see Mr. Herrera there. I don't know what.
He's with us.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Herrera. Can we have a motion to close to the public?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, abstain? All right, under that, I would ask for a board member to make a motion, please.
Sure, I'll make a motion. With respect to the property, 226 Manchester Road, Lot 22 and Block 901. Motion to approve the application for the variance relief requested as to maximum improved lot coverage of 41.6% and maximum lot coverage of 27.1% in connection with the installation of an elevated exterior deck consisting of 390 square feet in the rear yard area as shown on and otherwise consistent with the drawing submitted by the applicant and subject in all respects to the review of the conditions by the borough engineer.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a roll call, please.
Yes. Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Kellion,
Yes.
Ms. Boland,
Yes.
Mr. Bartoloni,
Yes.
Mr. Cray,
Yes.
Mr. Caslin,
Yes.
Councilman Kinigo,
Yes.
Mr. Esposito.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes.
Congratulations. Enjoy your deck.
Thanks.
All right, and have a happy holiday.
You
Thank
too.
you,
Happy
too.
holidays.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, Mr. Merman and I spoke earlier. He just wanted me to wish the rest of the board members a wonderful holiday season and safe and everybody stay healthy.
Before we head out, there was one other one other minutes that needed to be approved that we
I
skipped
thought
over
we-
earlier.
I thought we did the other ones.
No, we didn't.
Oh,
For
okay.
December 2nd.
All right, so that would be for March 2nd. I apologize. So the March 2nd minutes,
Or December.
when is it?
December 2nd.
December 2nd. I said March. December 2nd. Do I have any comments from the members? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Okay.
We can do it all,
And
right?
do you want to do a roll call vote or just?
Yeah, go ahead. Do a roll call. Get it over.
Okay, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Ms. Boland,
Yes.
Mr. Bartoloni,
Yes.
Mr. Craig,
yes.
Mr. Caslin,
Yes.
Councilman Kenigo,
Yes.
and Mr. Esposito is ineligible to vote because he was absent at that meeting.
Very
Correct.
good.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
so again, I echo the comments of Mr. Merman. I wish everybody a wonderful holiday season and everybody to be safe, stay safe and healthy. I want to thank Ms. Kaufman again for being our gracious host. I want to thank the mayor for all that you've done for the town these past 6 months. I can't even imagine how difficult that job has become.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Kelly.
did you want to say something, Mayor?
No, I want to say thank you for your kind words.
And Councilman Caningo as well, our council president. He's been a tough 12 months. And I can tell you I'm tired. I can't wait to get that needle in my arm. On that note, I would ask any comments from anybody want to say anything?
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays, yes.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
It had been a tradition that we all go out afterwards. I don't think that's going to happen tonight. Hopefully, once COVID is over, we'll try to get out and have a cocktail and toast each other. I've said it many times before. This board is probably one of the most incredible boards I've ever worked with. Very talented, very respectful, and very knowledgeable. So on that note, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstained? I'll see you guys in January. Have a great night, folks. And a great
Thank you,
holiday.
you too.
Everybody.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Bye.